Hello, everyone, and welcome to State of the Realm, your weekly Final Fantasy XIV podcast. This week, the Diadem, it's back, and oh boy. We also have a bunch of interviews from this latest PAX East, although I have no intention of actually covering the PAX Q&A itself because, let's be honest, we'll just be making fun of it. We also have Lucky Boncho's latest unofficial census, and quite the surprise that came with that, including savage clear rates and the current population of the game. But anyway, I can't do this alone, but I am one of your hosts, Michael, Mr. Happy Pope. Of course, joining me is Slyh, aka Slythefox, aka Slyh, aka Greyfox, aka Persona 5 Santa Claus, aka you my boy Blue. How you doing?
You just had to go there, didn't you?
I had to. Listen, whenever I have a nickname for you, a new one, you know I look forward to it with nothing but utmost excitement. Persona 5 Santa Claus. P5 Santa Claus. P5SC.
Ho, ho, ho.
There you go, your new Twitter handle.
There you go, exactly.
Thank you.
Just wait to see my new Twitter handle that's going to be coming up in the next couple of weeks. I'm sure you guys will be ecstatic.
Yeah?
Yeah, trust me, it's something to look forward to.
I'll put it on the calendar.
Just consider what day is fast approaching. There's a very special occasion fast approaching.
I mean, today's Pi Day.
Yes, today is Pi. Do you know that Postmates offered me 3.1, the first 100 digits of Pi percentage off my delivery order, which, by the way, 3% off of $3 is not even worth fucking putting in my app. All right?
Well, I did get pizza for $3.14.
We got a pie shop down the street. I'm looking forward to that. Oh, and for anyone who hasn't gleaned it yet, by the way, yesterday at the last minute managed to secure a guest to talk about this ever so heated topic, and that of very Merri.
Hello.
Well, hello, mate.
How you doing?
I want a clown horn so bad right now.
Oh my god. His favorite, guys, the thing he's been doing is with the Nintendo Switch. Apparently, if you press the right trigger when it's in sleep mode, why don't you give it one further show so you feel all right? It does this. It does that. Because that's the kind of technology that Nintendo really wanted to put the Switch on the market with.
I mean, forget that Breath of the Wild stuff. I mean, that clown horn is just awesome.
Yeah,
perfect.
You don't need anything else. Just get on an airplane. You know, you've got 3 hours of battery life. You could do some serious damage with 3 hours of clown horns. That's what I'm talking about right now. So anyway, it's been a busy week, I'd say, with the Final Fantasy XIV community especially. There's been some ups and downs this last week that we're gonna tackle pretty head on in this episode of State of the Realm. And no, my green screen's not broken. I chose not to use it today. It's just up. Before anyone comments, that's the thing we're doing. So we're gonna tackle these things one at a time, but we're gonna take the biggest topic and make it the first one, and that is 3.55b, which at the very last minute became Thursday of last week. They're like, oh, by the way, in 2 days, we'll see ya. Did you guys play this much the day it came out, or have you played it much since the day it came out back on Thursday?
Yeah, a fair amount. I checked it out.
Good amount, but I didn't alarm clock it. I had a reason to. Yeah, you had a reason to, but there's other people. It wasn't that kind of patch. It wasn't an alarm clock. Wake up like 5 in the morning. Yeah, it was just you do it, and I did it, and I have some thoughts.
Just a few.
So it's going to say introduction in the top right corner. Also, I mismanaged my time before going live. So it's just going to say intro, and I'll try to add the annotations appropriately for those of you watching on YouTube later. My bad. Was one of you listening to me very loudly, by the way? Because I feel like I can hear myself through one of your audio devices. One of you two is reverberating me back into me.
Probably not me.
I mute myself when I don't talk.
Oh, is that me playing through yours? I don't know. Is he muted? Because if he's muted, I'm still hearing myself, which would mean it's you, Merri.
Okay, let me try muting now.
All right. Now it's not happening. Yeah, it's definitely Merri.
Weird. What?
I do have a voice that likes to reverberate through your ears like the ringing of the scream of a small child.
Is it bad?
No, but I can hear
it. That's strange.
Yeah.
I can hear it, though.
Yeah. Okay. And now everyone else can hear it, so we'll see. But anyway. So the first topic, 3.55b, Diadem. That's it. That was Slyh Leopo also. We could talk about more here because now we've got her second week, but Diadem is really the big thing. So I have one very important question for you, Sly. Why the fuck did this get delayed and we had to wait for this again? Why was this like four major patches after its initial release such a big deal?
You're asking the wrong person.
No, I think I'm asking the right person, and I think your reaction is actually the right answer. That's it.
It's horrible timing. It's horrible timing in the fact that we should have gotten this months ago. I think the burn that everybody's feeling right now with the whole weapons and everything, it wouldn't feel as bad if this were implemented, I don't know, 2016 sometime. It's just a matter of timing. Is it better than the previous Diadem? Sure, I'll give you that. It's slightly better than the previous Diadem.
Okay, keyword is slightly.
Slightly. Yeah, it's still a slight improvement. I'm not going to say it's like leaps and bounds better than the last Diadem. Some people would say it's just the same damn thing. You just added fates. It's slightly better. That's one pro that's slightly better, but it was just off time. It was horribly timed. And going to kind of pushing ahead a little bit, one of the questions from one of the interviews was talking about the way they're doing their content. And, like the last few patches, I think from here on in are going to be, going into Stormblood will be awkward patches, like at the end of the expansion cycle. Those will be the awkward type patches where you get content like this that makes certain things irrelevant. It's bound to happen.
It always happens.
Yeah.
I think that what's going to be the big thing is that they made such a big deal about revamping the Diadem and doing, trying to make up for and it literally feels like they just said, fates, because everyone loves those. And I'll echo your sentiment, Slyh, that I think it's slightly better, only because you can you're not going to sit in there for 2 hours and grind like you used to, unless you opt into it. But you can go in for 15 minutes, get some homestones, get some lock boxes, maybe save up some materia for the expansion or get a new 265 piece to roll on. And if you're lucky, maybe the emergency mission spawns while you're in there. And if you're even luckier, you actually beat it. And then if you're even luckier, you actually get a weapon. If you're even luckier, it rolls the job that you actually want to play. Yep. So that's the big topic here, and I'm going to get your thoughts on this next, Merri. We knew there were weapons coming because of data mining. What we didn't expect was for them to be 5 item levels higher than the current highest item level prior. Now, I actually jokingly said, fuck it, make it I-280. I said it in episode 103. Fuck it, make it all I-280. Who gives a shit? It's the end of the expansion. I think maybe they watched. Yeah, that maybe.
They took it to heart.
They took it to heart. I think they're like, maybe not everything, but the weapons. Yeah. Think about it. Of all the gear in Alexander, there's less weapons than everything else. So just the weapons. It's fine. How do you feel specifically about the 280 weapons, Merri? Because there's a whole heated mix of opinions out there.
So from the get-go, as somebody who just recently finished their 275 relic, who has almost another one finished, I really didn't care. To me, the patch it's on the way out. Stormblood's coming up. It's on the downward slide. People who have cleared Alexander have most likely already cleared Alexander if they really want to. I felt like it wasn't really going to make a huge impact in the game. Like, there's a 280. And the fact that it's so astronomically small, your chances of actually getting one that has good stats, getting one period, let alone one that has good stats, it didn't bother me. It's like maybe 3 people are going to get one. Okay.
Oh, let me tell you, my friend. I've had some friends who have been pretty addicted, and they've picked up some pretty ridiculous. The most ridiculous weapon I've seen picked up so far, although it's not a job he plays very frequently, which is another key aspect, is a monk weapon with 100-ish crit, 90-ish determination, 30-ish accuracy. Now, Sly, I'm going to pick your brain about this next one. we regularly talk about item level like as a reward for content and how it's, you know, how the raid content generally rewards the best item level and whatnot. Do you think the reason for the item level being 280 is because the diadem couldn't stand on its own 2 feet without a reward like that?
That's a heavy reason to lean on. We already were a bit jaded from previous diadem. Adding a weapon like this wasn't going to improve anything other than the fact that this is your reward. I mean, downside to it, it's necessary at this point in time. So
you would say it's necessary to have something, even though it's so rare, tantalizing to get people into content just before an expansion?
Just before expansion? God, no.
Everyone's playing other games anyway.
Yeah. Like, I don't even think it's worth it at that point. Again, it's just a matter of timing. Had this been, earlier in the expansion cycle, sure. Why not?
So let me take that for a second, because that's the second time you've said that. Would you say that do you think they would have done a weapon that's higher than the highest raid tier weapon if it wasn't? Because that is a much more impactful effect on the game. Like imagine if just before Final Coil came out, like 2 months before, there's these weapons that are better than all of the Midas weapons that were out prior.
We've had these conversations before. I think we had this conversation with LBR and this was the exact outcome they discussed of having a weapon that goes like, I think Aniro said on par with current raid weapons. I'm like not above. I could take maybe on par, but not a step above.
But do you think it's different because we're at the end of the expansion and it's all going to get replaced anyway in a few months? Do you think do you think it's that, or do you think it's because they thought no one would do the diadem without the weapon?
Little column A, little column B.
Little column A, little column B. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to jump to you on this one, Merri, because I think that item level calculations are something that you care about quite a bit.
Maybe.
The strength of armor, the strength of stat weights, and things like that. Because
Okay.
I know
No.
So one of the bigger complaints about the I-280 weapon is not that it's just I-280. It's that it actually provides a stat increase equal to that of closer to I-285 or I-290. An example is from I-270 to I-275, you obtain about 7 main stat on a weapon. Whereas on this 280 weapon, you obtain about 13 more main stat than on the 275 weapon.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think they did that with the crazy weapon damage values that don't match the item level calculations at all?
It's a really strange move. They seem kind of oddly inflated, like you said. Like it's an I-80 or 280, but it seems like it's like 285, 290. And then, some are smaller, obviously, like the Machinist and all of them have like 1 less weapon damage or whatever. But I don't know. It really seems kind of strange, this whole situation. I mean, as I said earlier, like I don't really care that they added it, but at the same time, I don't understand why they added it. I feel like they could have done something better to incentivize people to run it. Like if they added it as like, hey, if you run this, you might get this 280. I feel like it would have been better if they had just 275s or even 270s with a higher drop rate than this super rare 280.
So of these two reasons, which you think is more likely? That they increased it by so much to offset the random substats that you're going to get? Or that it's using the item level calculations from the expansion?
I hadn't thought about that.
I gave that some thought.
That could be, because they are going to be, there's obviously the stat inflation moving forward and all that. So that's a possibility. I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah, I kind of thought it was kind of telling of the times with the whole power creep issue going into the expansion, because that was another question that was asked. We don't know how much in terms of stats and everything that we're going to see this power creep or this surge of power. I mean, I know they talked about vitality, but other stats are going to go that way too. And this is kind of like, I think, a sign of things to come.
So do you think, because here's the thing, power creep, most people want less of it, and doubling the amount of main stat you get is at least appears to be the opposite.
Yeah.
Do you think it's a sign that main stats are going to, and we'll touch on this a little bit later because this actually is a topic in one of the interviews. Do you think that it's because main stat is going to start being valued way less than it currently is, where we have 1 attack power for certain main stats and then the 0.45 for strength vitality on tanks? Do you think that value is going to go down and they're going to increase the number? Because I don't see much of a benefit to doing it that way versus just decreasing the amount that they give.
Yeah, I think I agree with you there. I want to say we're in need of power kind of compression or shrink to kind of combat this, because I honestly think going forward, like with a power creep, it won't be as bad as what people what was said in the interviews. I don't think it will be that bad, but I do definitely think we're in need of kind of like a power shrink, sort of kind of balance it out.
Yeah, and that's why this is such a weird choice to like just, I don't know, everything about this. I would love to pick their brain on as to why they made this decision, if there is an explanation. But there's one specific comment from the official Q&A, which we'll get into in a little bit. First, I just realized we never even discussed the actual obtaining of the weapon. It sounds like someone here has had one too many bad experiences.
I've seen the EQ 4 times. I've beaten it 2 times.
That's pretty good odds.
Yeah.
So
it's a little messy.
For people who don't know, the only 2 major new things in the Diadem is that fates pop up everywhere, and you generally want to complete those because those help spawn the new emergency mission faster. They have better rewards. Some of them have minions. Some of them give lock boxes, whatever. And then there's some other objectives for you to complete, but that's nothing too major. And then there's the emergency mission, which people are still speculating on how it spawns. Some people think you need to gather a total of 10K evaluation throughout an instance. To give you a reference point, the 1-star fates, I believe, are 100 evaluation flat, the boss fates, and most other ones sit somewhere between 30 and 50. So once the emergency mission is spawned, though, you have 15 minutes to complete this mission, and it generally just goes to shit most of the time. Step 1, destroy the headstone. All right, that was easy. That's easy. Yep. But then you get spawned into the actual arena, and there's 3 crystals, 3 mini-bosses, a bunch of elemental sprites, and 2 hellhounds. At the center of it all is the spawn point for the boss, which you're trying to protect and prevent him from spawning. Now tell me, what are your experiences after the headstone here? I want to hear if Slyh, have you had any emergency missions?
Yes, I have.
All right, we'll start with you then. What was your initial experience with the emergency mission?
After the headstone...
Oh, by the way, apparently, and I didn't get to go to the Q&A, Yoshi P confirmed that Fates had nothing to do with the emergency mission.
Got it. After the headstone, we kind of went to the crystals, and everybody was, in my lines, was like, well, maybe we should go to ice. Let's do ice. Okay, fine. Maybe some people should go to the middle. Okay, fine. And then, I think what shot us in the foot was the fact that not enough people went to middle to take out the hellhounds at first, and then we couldn't go help out everybody on their ads. So the wind and the thunder ads, we couldn't go help out, and then of course the boss spawned, and we got kicked out at 9% on the boss.
You still did better than most groups usually. Yeah. Is that your only emergency mission?
The second one I think was like 16.
It's even worse.
It was worse.
Merri, what about you? You've had 4 of them. Let's get a good and a bad.
So the good is when people kill ads and tank bosses where they're supposed to be tanked, facing the way they're supposed to be faced.
Or just tank bosses, I'd imagine.
Yeah, pretty much. The bad is partially the players, partially just the content. everything hits so hard. You get one shot. You can get one shot if you don't. Some of it's just so unforgiving. So like you'll have ads that spawn, these elementals, and they do a massive room-wide, platform-wide AoE and have a little tiny pinpoint under them to stand to be safe. And if you get hit by that massive AoE, you die. You just die. And so I've seen entire parties just instantly wiped out because they were spread out and they didn't stack onto the ad in time. And then the boss goes to the middle and everyone else starts to die and everything loses it. And once the train is off the tracks, it is almost impossible. I've never seen it brought back on because people just trickle in and ads are running everywhere and bosses are everywhere and the crystals are just, spawning all of these ads and the specific elemental ones are doing their giant AoEs and killing everybody and the bosses are just one-shotting you as you zone in. It's a goddamn mess. It's a mess.
At least that's specific. So why don't we talk about probably the most approachable way, or what we think is probably the most approachable way. There's two things you want to do in phase 2 when all the ads are alive. You want to make sure that they don't destroy the middle pillar. And the last enemies you want to kill are the crystals. You want everything else dead before you kill the crystals.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So the most viable thing it seems to do is to have everyone go mid at first. For about 20 seconds, you can do this.
Yep.
And murder as many of the things that are in the middle as possible. Start taking out those hellhounds, take out the elementals, whatever. About 15 seconds after that, 3 groups need to go intercept the bosses on the 3 corners because they'll just run straight to the middle if you don't engage them. And then they got to not fuck up like you just said, because if they do, it immediately goes downhill. And then at the same time, you need to be dodging all the other elementals you were talking about. And then once the hellhounds are dead, you break off, kill the 3, and do their mechanics properly. And then you break off and kill the crystals.
I'm happy. You act like coordination and Diadem is a thing.
I mean, sometimes nobody says anything and just you hope for the best. My first victory was just nobody knew what to do. And everybody just went in, and even with trickling in, managed to win with 6 minutes left. Yeah.
But I have a question. What does this say for this specific design or battle design?
This is the most basic of don't get hit by the AoE. It's just one of the first pieces of content that isn't Savage and I guess Extreme Primals, where if you do get hit by the AoE, it's going to be bad.
Pretty much.
Really bad. Especially if you don't have gear. And a lot of people in there don't. That's why they're in there.
Yeah.
Do you think that this kind of punishing content, it's punishing but not like it's mechanically difficult. This punishing content is something, excluding the rest of the diadem, something that's somewhat welcome in Final Fantasy XIV?
I would say yes, if not for the fact that you're with a bunch of random people. It's not 24-man friendly, I feel.
Took the words right out of my
It's
mouth.
not 72-man friendly.
Not 72-man friendly, yeah.
Definitely not 72-man friendly.
With an organized group, absolutely, sure. A slightly organized group, sure. But just a bunch of random people, it's a little much.
But you really want to put together that many people, though, in a pre-make?
What is this, World of Warcraft vanilla?
Yeah, no
40-man
thank you.
raids?
No thank you on that front. So just to be clear, if the boss in the middle spawns either from the pillar dying or from the crystals dying, any ads still alive get a huge damage buff. So much so that their auto attacks will do about 50k damage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Merri
also doesn't help.
Merri seems all too familiar with
Yeah.
this.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone's like, oh, just kill the crystals so everything will despawn. Nothing despawned. Uh-oh.
Everything's killing us.
Everything's killing us. And then the boss spawns, and really all he does is summon a bunch of ads, shoot a bunch of AoEs, and then go to the middle of the room, and everybody needs to step on platforms on the side. And the platforms, unlike certain other platforms where you need to have exactly the number, it's just as long as that many people have stepped on it,
Yep, and it unlocks.
It unlocks. So you don't need to keep the people there. You can just run along them and take care of the rest. It's just the minimum number needs to be on that. Overall, the emergency mission itself, it's just one. It's the same emergency mission every time. Do you think the Diadem could have benefited, and Slyh, I'm going to hit you with this one. Do you think the Diadem could have benefited from a greater variance in emergency mission versus a shit ton of fates and more frequent emergency missions, maybe with scaled back rewards?
More emergency missions, yes. The fates really don't do anything for me.
I don't. After Yokai, I don't think they do anything for anyone, man.
Anybody, yeah. But yeah, maybe having 2 or 3 more variances in the emergency mission would make it interesting. It would make it a little bit more, pleasant, and actually, it would make the sting right now a little bit bearable with the whole weapons and everything. I would definitely go in and do more. I'm still gonna do it just because it's still a source of money. You can get some good shit in Diadem, and so I'd recommend that for anyone. Still gonna do it, but yeah, it would have been better with more emergency missions.
Overall, what do you guys grade the new Diadem? Give me a number out of 10.
The old one, I would say 4 out of 10. This one, 6 out of 10.
Same number.
I'm gonna sit with a 6 too. I don't mind doing a few of them a day if I'm not doing much else, but I by no means go, yeah, Diadem.
The lock boxes was a good idea. Everyone likes opening loot boxes.
I agree.
Yeah, I have a feeling we're gonna see that. I mean, they did it for Palace of the Dead. They're doing it here. I have a feeling we're gonna keep seeing that system pop up in Stormblood. It's not one I dislike. I feel like you can add some variety in the rewards when it's opening lock boxes.
Pepper and some minions, maybe little glamour items.
But again, we can agree. Slight, not a huge, but slight improvement.
Yeah,
slight improvement.
It's better.
It's
not
break
worse.
it, and now if you just sit in the zone and farm fate, it's gonna feel almost exactly like the old Diadem minus the emergency mission. That's
It's
the problem.
It's like you got a prick on your thumb with the original Diadem, and now you still have that prick in your thumb, but now it has a Band-Aid over it. Right? It's a little better.
Right.
A little better.
I honestly felt. Oh, go ahead.
No. You go ahead. No, mine was a closing thought.
Yeah, I honestly felt like the sky was the limit in terms of what they could do to improve it, and almost like they hit a ceiling somewhere, some way.
The sky was the limit.
Yeah, you could go anywhere with it, and anything would have been better, and that's what they did. It's better, but.
So my only concern now is I feel like I want to know the distinction between Eureka and Diadem more clearly. Obviously, they've spoken about the whole, it's focused on the anima weapon or the new relic equivalent. That's a big one. And on top of that, they have the super rare, spawns very rarely notorious monsters that everyone can group up and try to kill. That should pose a moderate threat, which based on the emergency mission, they are somewhat capable of creating something that is a threat to 72, in theory,
They sure are.
random players. So is this, and I'll start with Merri and Slyh, we'll get your closing thoughts on this after. Do you think this is a good sign for Eureka? Or do you want Eureka to really distinguish itself as much different from the Diadem?
I'm okay with it being a foundation, but I want a lot more. I want a lot more meat to it. If there's not something to bite into outside of just, killing various NMs and fates and stuff like that. I don't want that. I want something more impactful. So if they can take this and evolve it significantly, sure. But if it's not much different from this or just a little bit better than this, I'm going to be disappointed, personally.
Slyh.
I want something completely different. Completely different. I agree. I agree with you, Merri, that this is a foundation. This was a test. Diadem 1 and this combined is a test. Didn't do so well. Did not do so well. They can again only improve. The sky. I say this again. The sky's the limit. I don't want to be disappointed with Eureka, but I definitely want them to go in a different direction with Eureka.
All right. So with that out of the way, we can now move into the interviews that have happened. And so with PAX, there were 4 major things. There's the official Q&A from PAX East. Let's pretend that doesn't exist. Anyway, we have the Reddit interview, we have the Gamer Escape interview, and my favorite is the Mog Talk interview.
Definitely the better of the interviews.
I didn't even put the live Q&A in the notes, but
that's okay.
I just want to quickly cover the live Q&A if you guys...
Do you have to?
You know what's funny? Matt Hilton on stage said, before anyone asks any questions, remember, you can ask questions about Peaches, or you can ask questions about 4.0. Please think about it.
And it sounded like they didn't give that much thought.
No.
Yeah.
So let's break down the most popular questions, the most popular answers. I think we have to tackle my account got banned guy. So one of the guys literally just raises his hand and says, hey, my account got banned and your support doesn't pick up the phone. And this, by the way, this is why we don't get live Q&As anymore. Or at least why NA shouldn't have them anymore. At least Europe's where they had the questions in the box at FanFest were okay. They may have made him get up and walk away, but it was still a good question. I don't even know how I wonder if he ever got his account unbanned.
It's a good question.
It's a direct way of dealing with customer service. Like going right to the corrector.
That's right.
Let's ask Yoshi P at the next live one if that guy ever got.
Yeah,
that's a great idea.
Next PAX East. PAX East. Okay, we had the question from the person whose main job is an interior designer regarding housing. Which is fine. We get housing questions.
We have a catalog for it.
I didn't know that you could roll a main job interior designer. Although, honestly, that's because I'm in Elysium and nobody in this free company has any fucking idea how to design a house. They hire people to do it. They're like, hey, you, make our house not look like shit.
Hey, you contract people to make your house look good.
Honestly, and then like an EM member just like says, you know what, I want that in a different spot, and it just goes to shit immediately. Maybe they hired this guy. It's possible. I don't know what server he was on.
Wow.
I think the question that pissed people off the most was his answer to the I-280 weapons. So his exact response, the translator had to, pantomime this. I just wanted an excuse to use that word. Y'all need to calm down. That upsets some people, but what upsets some people even more is the translation for his comment on the anima weapon versus the 280 weapon.
Mm-hmm.
And now this shouldn't be taken literally, but it was sure as hell stated literally. He said the anima weapons are still the best. That's how it was presented to us in a paraphrased, translated, meant to be fit in an hour form. And it did not go over well.
Nope.
Nope. And no. Do you think he just knows something we don't? Maybe he actually knows the truth and we're all wrong.
Maybe the.
I hope so.
Never mind. I can't even.
He can't. He just gave up on his thought mid sentence and just like, I need water. I can't do it.
I don't know. I have no idea what he was thinking.
I think it was in it had to be in context to like the reliability of obtaining one. It had to be, right?
Or just the idea, like overall, like it's also glamour. You need glamour, and it's probably gonna have a boost for the next relic weapon, so it has value in that, and like maybe all that stuff together.
I feel like we need a follow-up interview. We need a 5th interview here, just to ask about questions that he answered again, because
we do that every Q&A though. We ask the same goddamn question.
No. We're not asking the same question. We're asking him to clarify the answer to the question from before. So we're not asking it again. We're asking what his answer actually meant, because
his answer will probably still be the same if he can't even say anything.
Yeah. No, he gotta be. He's gotta be able to say something about that. He's just like he's a puppet.
It's wishful thinking.
Okay, so the Q&A did have some other things. No cleric stance. blah blah blah. You know, there were some other things there, but for the most part, I didn't even go to it, and I was at PAX East. People just came up and told me what happened, and most of them were like, "eh." So let's move forward from there.
Yay.
Let's tackle Mog Talk's interview first. Now this is now these are questions and these are answers. By the way, for those who don't know, Mog Talk is a weekly Final Fantasy XIV podcast. They just celebrated their 100th episode, which was this last Saturday, and it's every Saturday. It was started at 1 p.m. PST this last weekend, but it's normally 2 p.m. because I end my stream at 2. Yeah, so it's 2 p.m. Pacific, unless they changed it starting last week. Every Saturday, go there and watch it because the questions you get from Frosty are no bullshit. You understand? No bullshit.
That's not to say that the other interviews were bullshit. The other interviews were actually really good.
Yeah, and they all work together to not ask the same questions.
Thank God. Yeah, Reddit and Gamerscape luckily sat in on the same interview. But Frost, I'm happiest with Frosty's answers, and or Frosty's questions. And I know that he was like, I'm gonna ask you the question that everyone's gonna like. And the really big question here was something I don't know about you guys. I've been asking for this for ages. Is the addition of raid achievements. Yeah. Things like beating a fight for minimum item level or handling a mechanic in an atypical way. Like maybe nobody ever being hit by a mechanic that normally groups their standard strategy is to let someone get hit. I guess maybe an example would be what's a good one? Everybody needs to survive double cross whatever in A9 Savage or something.
Or doing Nissi the right way.
Yeah, or do Nissi. Like doing something like A9 Savage with never using the shrinking mechanic to dodge double what the fuck is
Scrap
that?
line.
Scrap line. I kept wanting to say clothesline and I knew it wasn't that. With things like that. So you have to go out of your way to do like super mitigations or odd mechanics, or like A11 Savage without ever letting any attack except Whirlwind damage the towers or something like that. Right. Things that'll actually push people to do the fights again in a different way.
Yeah.
And for the first time, I think I'm very, very happy with Yoshi P's answer, although I'm a bit surprised by it at the same time. He said, "That's a great idea." We'd need to make something to make it work, but that's a great idea. I think he heard cost efficient in the question. And he's like, yes. I can get them to shut the fuck up. Yes.
He did say some things would be difficult to, track in terms of things in a fight. Some things would be easier than others, like just actually pushing mechanics. That's the easiest thing to track. Pretty much push the mechanic. I think things like, doing one set of huddles in A12 or something, that's kind of a bit more consuming and difficult.
Hey, WoW can do it. We can find a way. That's all I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying. We can eventually find a way, but I do hope that this somehow gets into raid and get really good rewards from it.
I don't even think they need to be good rewards. I think players just needed, like, I remember the big thing with WoW is, like, if you complete an entire raid tier's worth of achievements, you got them out. And I think that alone, or titles or something, I think any sort of acknowledgement that you completed this task and you're one of the few who has completed it is enough for the hardcore raiders that just want that acknowledgement. I think that's really the big thing here. It is basically taking fights that already exist and forcing yourself to do it a different way, just for the sake of taking on this achievement and this challenge.
Kind of like Savage Squirrel, just titles.
Yeah.
That's all you got.
Yeah, basically they said, however you guys are beating the fights, fuck you, we're going to fix it. That's it. You suck. Do you think they could do this in dungeons too? Dungeon bosses?
That would be cool. But they'd have to be a little more difficult, probably.
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't be too much concerned with dungeon achievements more than raid achievements. It'd be good to see in the game, but personally speaking, I probably wouldn't pay too much attention to it.
I think it would tie well into their idea of 4-man content that's like Savage difficulty that they've talked about briefly, potentially being a thing. I think it would go really well with that.
All right. Well, that's just one of the many questions that Mog Talk actually had. Some of the other questions included some that we got a little bit more clarification on. He asked about the imbalance of queues regarding tanks and the fact that we're getting 2 new DPS. He even gave us a little bit more insight. He said that tanks will almost always level something that isn't a tank second. He says they'll level the tanks first because the raids are coming, and then the very next thing they level will not be a tank. He did openly say that, and
not this one.
You're going to do it the opposite, because you are, I imagine, going to want that same... Yeah, you're going to want that same.
I'm going Samurai.
Fucking Final Fantasy 11 nerd. Anyway.
It was my main in 11. I'm sorry. I'm ready.
All right. It's all right. We already knew you were going down that path. And then there was also questions about making daily quests more interesting. And they said that's a concern, And same with debuffs again. They answered the question very similarly. We'll answer it in another live letter, but we are completely aware it's a problem. So he had a lot of very end game player focused questions. There's very little glamour, very little. So it just appealed to my personal needs. Whereas the Reddit and Gamer Escape are a good mix of all the other questions, I feel. Right. So remember, guys, Mog Talk Saturdays at 2 p.m. Pacific. Go.
Frosty's like the third twin out of me and Ethos.
I'm sorry, you're gonna need to elaborate.
He kind of looks like me, just a little bit.
So that makes him the third twin?
Yeah, because Ethos and I are twins, and so he's the third one.
He's the third twin.
Yeah.
Y'all
I mean, he's a triplet. He's the third twin. I kept trying to get you to
third twin. He's the third twin. Listen, he's the third twin. Three twin. Okay. It's 3 twin.
I love face down. Oh man.
3 twin.
Okay, he's the third twin. Got it. That's Frosty's new nickname. He's the third twin. It sounds like this. Okay. I wish we had a clown horn.
Yeah, me too. Wouldn't that just be a thing? That'd be cool. 3 twins. Okay. Hashtag 3 twins.
Hashtag 3 twins. Got it.
That's started.
I don't know what I was thinking. Apparently not at all. Okay. Moving on.
Okay, so from the Reddit one, there's actually a great number of questions. But again, we'll be here all fucking day if we try to cover every little detail that's in these interviews. Like we did when Byrne was on, and it took almost 3 hours. When I was like, I don't think it's gonna be that long of a show, Byrne. He's like, yeah, no, it should be that. And fucking 3 hours later, and Sly crying tears of laughter, which happens every time Byrne is on. We had a bunch of questions just to run through. They asked if there's going to be new crafting specializations, same ones we have now, new desynthesis items, but they're not going to expand the content really. Will there be another long break, which they've answered already. So a lot of these things we've seen. The request repair thing. The big one, there's 2 big ones for me. The first one is Yoshi P talking about how they're trying to figure out some compatibility issues with implementing a colorblind mode. Mm-hmm. So I want to get you guys' thoughts, because this goes back a long way. In 2.0, the original AoE markers, I'm not going to say what color they were, but they were very hard to see for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. They updated them. They were easier to see. But then they updated them again, and they were even easier to see. And then they've done things like update turn 9 to make it so that they're distinguishable with means other than color. They kept making changes to the game for colorblind players, but instead of making a colorblind mode. Why do you think that was? And Sly, I'll start with you. Why do you think it was why did they just keep making changes for people like me when my eyes are clearly inferior to everyone else's instead of just adding this mode? They couldn't seriously have been actively developing this and have compatibility issues for 4 years.
Do you think it was strictly on the basis of just for colorblind players? Because I say that because, some of the changes I saw over time, one most notable was in St. Mocion's, and like the AoE kind of blended within the environment, and I couldn't tell what the fuck was an AoE and what wasn't at that time. Yeah, some of the changes they make help, and some of the changes hinder. That was one that hindered.
I think the 2.0 AoE circles were just bad in general, and I think those needed updating.
Oh, yeah.
But when they changed them the first time, they said it was because of colorblind players, and then they changed them again to make them even more visible with the pulsing that like tells you how long the cast is. Well, like, you know, kind of lets you know it's a casting, it's hitting that range. Right. I think maybe the first time it was for everyone. The second time it may have specifically been for us, even though they've said otherwise. I'm just curious. Could it be PS3? Could it have been a PS3 limitation? Merri?
PS3. No, I feel like part of it is probably just because it was easier to apply the changes just globally instead of having like developing a separate engine to run like this, you know, or a separate function to run this setting and apply all those settings, you know, and have them separate, easier to just stack it on top of whatever you already have. And again, you know, it does apply to other people because they were, you know, while I could see them, they were kind of difficult originally and they got better and better. So it's something that benefits everyone, but more so colorblind players. So kind of, maybe.
Sorry.
No? Oh.
Well, what's really weird is they said the main reason why he's actually been getting this question a lot is because of Zervin. Zervin's red and blue are not colors that are like, that's not a, those are pretty different. I'm trying to think of an AoE from Zervin that would bring this up, and none comes to mind. Maybe it's because I just skip Soar, so I don't see the AoEs, but maybe. I don't know. It's something
I did not know you were just going there.
Something I'm missing, because I don't know why Zervin in particular, because they said the circles that are red and blue, and I'm just thinking to myself, those are two very fucking different colors. Even I can see the difference between those. That's like, there's red, green, like, if it was red, green, I would understand.
New party finder. Colorblind. Must skip Soar.
Small meteors during the ads. I could understand that one. Those ones are just so fast, regardless. Even if you can see them, they're kind of annoying.
Do you think the issue is like stuff stacking?
I mean, that's always an issue. Like when shit tons of AoE stack on top of each other, it's kind of...
you can't. Yeah. I mean, you can kind of... Once you get used to it, you can kind of tell, but I don't think that's the issue at hand here. I mean, it might be one of them. I don't know how that's a colorblind issue unless you kind of, things do stack, you make the color stand out a little bit more just to emphasize it. I don't know.
I think it's just the fact that the circles are red and blue implies that those are the two that are having trouble. I think red, maybe there's red AoEs on red AoEs I'm not thinking of, and blue on blue that may be actually the problems people are having. Like, for example, if you have the red marker above your head and there's like a fire AoE on the ground from Soar and you can't see, like, that would make more sense to me than just the circles are red and blue. Because those are not two colors that regularly clash for colorblind people unless you see in black and white. Then it's a problem. Oh, man. Anyway, the other thing I want to talk about is the stats. Because that's another question they ask, is regarding stats and if we'll have a squish of any kind or if there's any sort of way to approach power creep. And the answer is, in terms of the formulas that are being used, we will be making adjustments so that it won't increase so much as you're going to your next level cap of 70. But there will be an increase inherently, and it might be somewhere upwards of 100,000. He's referring to the health of tanks, for example. But we will be making an adjustment. So what that implies is that when the item level goes up, the formulas will change in such a way that it's not as big of a power creep that it was from A Realm Reborn to Heavensward. As an example, by the way, towards the end of A Realm Reborn, 500-ish DPS was like a good place to be. I've seen monks do like 600 and dragoons do 600-ish. But now it's at like, you know, you do like 2,500. It's like you almost went up 5 times pretty much with just barely doubling the item level. What do you think? Do you think we need a squish, or do you think that having 100,000? Some people don't want to have 100,000 health. They just think it's that's where shit gets ridiculous, especially when they look at warriors soloing everything.
I mean, I'm always of the mind, people, you know, they don't want it at first, but as you play, you just get used to the new numbers. I mean, that's how it was with Heavensward. You know, it's like we had this huge jump in HP compared to ARR, and it's like, well, you just got used to it eventually. You know, I had 10k HP as a tank in ARR. Now I have 40, 50k, you know. Get used to it.
Do you just get Slyh? Do you get annoyed by like when numbers just get crazy insane? I mean, we're not talking World of Warcraft where you do like 27 million crits, which is just I don't even understand why numbers. Shouldn't even put numbers. They should just like a boss has like 10,000 hits and your hit did 2. Fuck it. It's easier than fucking bothering with this kind of shit. Do you think that is there a point for you, Slyh, where you think the numbers will get too out of hand?
Eventually we're going to get there. I don't think 4.0 will be the time when we start hitting crazy numbers. We're already starting in terms of just regular DPS or just actual. Okay. We're already on the way. For one, with the whole Nokian change.
Chan?
Yeah, but we're already on the way with that. The power up. With new skills, I think, not just stats, but lost my fucking train of thought. I honestly don't think we need a power creep. We need a power squish.
So you want the squish? You do want the squish eventually?
I want the squish. It does feel good and like pride wise when you see big numbers, but sometimes, like, even looking at some of the numbers on FF logs, it seems a little, like, crazy. And I'm like...
That's just going to keep going up.
It's going to keep going up with skills. And I'm just sitting here like, how the fuck does that happen? With gear, like, your numbers go up with gear and weapons and shit like that. But when you get new skills and new changes of stats and it just gets completely fucking ridiculous, there has to be a stopping point, I think.
What is your stopping point, Slyh? When do you think it's too much? Give me a number.
I can't give you a number.
Give me a number.
I can't give you.
You don't want to give me a number because you just want to keep seeing your crits go up. Those life surge crits.
I would be content with getting to like 100K and then squishing it back down, and
So you want to see it go up and then you want to see it come back down.
Yeah. I mean,
you want to see it come back down to go back up again.
Yeah, that's
because
fine.
then you have room to go back up again. It's really fucked up.
You just keep smushing it down. It gets too high, push it down. It goes back up, just keep pushing it down.
I take all these emotions and I just bottle them up and I push them deep down inside.
Exactly.
I just pretty much ignore them.
Mm-hmm. And eventually Twintania will have 10 HP. Just cruncher. Level 100, right? No.
Oh man. Okay, I think we've beat that point into oblivion. Okay, stat power creep.
We crunched that point.
No squish, just reducing the pace at which we increase is the current plan. Okay, and then we have the Gamer Escape interview. Now, the Gamer Escape interview happened alongside the Reddit one, and the Reddit one has a lot more questions. I'm not sure if there was overlap on their questions, so Reddit took, I don't know, because Reddit just had more questions than that one overall. And the questions are pretty straightforward. They asked for some clarifications about liberating Alamigo versus Doma, which we were just told there was some misunderstanding. And even that answer wasn't too satisfactory. Deep Dungeon will be in Stormblood. We knew this already, but we know more details. Veteran reward system is being replaced with loyalty system. We knew this as well. Asked about Proto Ultima being a trial, which they clarified that they said they never said that. They flat out never said it.
Mm-hmm.
Issues downloading the patch. You know how many times you guys been streaming and somebody says, hey, I'm getting version check errors and I can't download the patch.
2 times a week.
Yeah, that's about average.
After 3.5, what was it, 3.51? Not 3.55A, whatever the other one was before that. I literally had it twice a day. People were having the issue. And Yoshi P's just like,
Now, are the majority of issues you guys hear about PS4 or PC?
So it started as PS4 around 3.3, but after 3.5, a lot of PC people started coming to me with the issue.
I'd say
it's rare I get people with PC issues asking about like patch updates or anything like that, and why can't I update?
With PC, there's like a bajillion things it could be. With the PS4, most of the time, if you set it to Google's DNS, it fixes it.
Yeah.
But with the PC, it's like you gotta delete your fucking browsing your cookies from fucking Internet Explorer, and you gotta restart your computer, and you gotta make sure your firewall has everything set as an exception. And there's like a bajillion things that go wrong. And eventually, it's like, try a VPN. Fuck it. That's it. And that usually ends up being the step that actually works. Talking about crafters and gatherers and getting them involved more socially in content. And they mentioned Hamlet. And no, Merri, we're not doing Hamlet. Don't fucking give me frowny faces.
Okay, you gotta explain what Hamlet was to me because I was,
It's a tiny pig.
No. Stop it.
Okay.
No. No. Stop it. So Hamlet was content that existed back in I guess probably 1.2-ish was around the time it was joined. So basically what it was is you have several days or like a week or something to gather supplies to defend a hamlet. You know, a garrison hamlet, whatever you want to call it. And everyone who contributed got contribution points. And the top 3 people for each hamlet got bonus rewards if they participated in Hamlet while they were at the top of the contribution. Once the contribution is finished, it's locked for like a week again. And so then once again it comes around and you're going to have to contribute again to get on top of the list. Basically, the big thing is that first, second, and third had a higher chance of getting the items that were needed for the prerequisite for the relic quest. I think first place had a 50% chance of obtaining a personal item. You needed 3 of them from each hamlet, so you needed 9 total. And the hamlet itself basically boiled down to protect the hamlet from beastmen. And what most people would do to get maximum score for the best rewards is they'd bring 1 tank, 1 healer, maybe a second healer or DPS, and then like 5 crafters. And all the crafters do is make potions and they throw them at the NPCs, and the NPCs just do all the fighting for you, and you drag that, and at the end, you just grab the boss, and the tank kites him for fucking 20 minutes.
Run around a tree, yeah.
Run around the fucking tree, whatever it is, you just kite him in a fucking circle for 25 minutes, while the crafters generate all the score that they can. And then when you think you've reached the max score, because you can't see it till after you finish, then you kill the bad guy. The NPCs at that point are probably OP as shit because you crafted so many items for them. And then whatever, you get the rewards. It was some decent gear. The relic items were the big thing, and it was slow. It was boring, and I don't want it.
I can still vividly remember every path for kiting the bosses in all 3 hamlets.
Now, you didn't have to do it that way. That was just the best rewards. So it's the way everyone did it. It's kind of like that. So, it's like any other content. People figure out the best way. That's how they're gonna fucking do it. So I don't want hamlets personally. I want more gather crafter content. I'm cool with that. I'm still down for the fucking gatherer fates, man. I'm still down for that. Fucking.
I would be cool with a re-envisioned hamlet that's a little better and not so boring. Because I like the idea of like mixing and working together, DOW, DOH, DOL.
I'm cool with that.
What?
I wanted that in Diadem. I wanted it to be like there were gathering points where you could get like damage plus 10% if you protected the gatherer while they hit a node, or get drop rate plus or more brass, or just a flat amount of brass spoil. You technically could get brass spoils from the way it worked before. But like I was always down for those ideas. They just not 5 crafters and a dude running in a circle.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
20 minutes.
Of course.
Please. That's the only thing I don't want.
Yeah. More synergy would be cool.
More synergy and less kite in the circle for fucking 20 minutes. That's all I want. Okay. The big one here though for me, and I'm sure that Merri's going to agree with me on this one as somebody who loves looking at the New World map. Thavnair. Thavnair is literally smack dab between us and Authored. And we were like, are we going to get to go there? Nope. Not yet. Not yet. He said not yet.
Not yet.
You won't be able to access it right away as of the launch of 4.0. Do you think we'll get to go to Thavnair? It's like maybe Evilise has something to do with Thavnair. Maybe there's something else going on. I don't know. Do you think we'll get to go to Thavnair at any point here?
Yeah. Blue Mage. Blue Mage. One day.
You already got your samurai. You know that, right?
Blue Mage tank in 5.0.
So you're saying not even a possibility in 4.0?
I mean, maybe. I feel like if anything, it might be towards the end, kind of like setting up for the next expansion.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go to Davner.
Yeah, I'm saying a late, 4.x patch.
I hope, for the love of God, it's not just a dungeon. Like Thavnair.
Oh, yeah.
Please, for the love of God, don't do to this what you did to Zelfatol, where it's just like, well, you really can't explore it all. Fuck it. You're going. You're going. That's it. That's all you really need to know.
Yeah.
All right. So those are just some of the few points from the interviews. Obviously, there's still a lot longer. Be sure to check all of them out if you're watching Mod Talk, Reddit, Gamer Escape, and the official live Q&A. Now, normally that would be the end of the show. Be about an hour show, approximately. Yeah, about an hour show. Yeah. But there's one more thing we need to talk about. Something that was just released last night.
Some data.
Some data? What kind of data you talking about, Sly?
These numbers. We got a new census from Lucky Boncho, and I always love looking at the numbers. I didn't get a chance to organize it like I usually do, so I just got it before the show. But it's always good to look at stuff like savage clears and things like and active players, things like that.
That is literally the two number one things we track here, and the two things we're going to be talking about. So Lucky Boncho has done a bunch of unofficial censi over the years of Final Fantasy XIV to keep us sort of appraised as to a guesstimate of the number of active players in the game, as well as how raid progression is actually going. Now, we're going to be highlighting, the first thing is active characters, and specifically how they've trended over the years. We have all of the past official and unofficial Sensei. There you go. That's all right. That seems accurate.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we can see where we're currently at. As of the 13th of March 2017, according to Lucky Boncho's unofficial census, we are at approximately 560,000 active characters. Now, for reference, that is 70,000, probably 64,000 higher than it was back in November of 2016.
Growing.
Is it so? Are people on their way back because Stormblood's on its way?
Oh yeah.
More than likely, yes.
So what do you have to say about the people who just think it's just on a constant decline?
No.
No? That's it? That's your whole answer? No?
No.
No?
Up.
Up?
Up.
I mean, you can't help it. Most people who are saying this are people who are looking at their own communities and people who don't necessarily log in every day, who are offline more often than they're online, kind of thing. You can't take anything away from them. That's the group that they interact with.
I think as a whole, it ebbs and flows with content.
Yeah.
I want to see that next week. Now that the Diadem's been out. I want him to do another one next week. Yeah. I think he needs more time to register people as inactive. But I think it's I know a lot of people, as soon as they saw the Diadem, they're like, and officially on break.
And we say this, like I say this all the time, but in terms of the Lucky Boncho data, the numbers are kind of skewed.
Always, because they're never taken directly from like back end data. It's literally a formula that analyzes the lodestone and determines based on certain parameters people who are most likely to have actually logged in and played their character within a certain.
And it's only for a set time, and it's not for a certain period. It's just that certain time. So it's definitely skewed.
Yeah, like these 560,000 active characters, there may be 100,000 there that were not part of the 496,000 that were active back in November. It's not saying that it's exactly these same people plus 64,000. It's people who are not logging in every day and then people who are logging in. And there are also people who just stopped logging in from Diadem. They wouldn't be picked up from this because they've technically logged in within the time frame that is given here. So it is, again, not entirely accurate, but it is interesting to see the trends, especially if we look at over the years, the way the game has trended. When Early Access launched, there were 331,000 players in Early Access. By the time 1st of September rolled around, which was 4 days after the official launch, by the way, 26th of August is the 331,000. That's the last day of Early Access, so the day before the game officially launched. By the 1st of September, it was 522,000. By the 8th of September, it was 600,000. By the 16th of September, it was 668,000. By the 24th, it was 729,000. And by the 2nd of October, 773,000 with 817,000 on the 14th of October. The first month was fucking glory days. I think we can agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
However, he changed his formula after the 14th of October to exclude characters that were under level 11. So that was being included in the old numbers. All those first numbers were including players with characters under level 11. He just strictly got rid of that. Moving forward, 670,000, 684,000, and the PS4 release was the all-time peak of players for the game. Thank you, Sly.
You're welcome.
Did you play when PS4 first launched, or did you? We had this discussion before, or was it sometime after?
Second wave of beta.
Second wave of beta. Okay, yeah. So you're part of that 886,000 after the release on the PS4.
Yep.
He then adjusted it even further and made it so characters under level 21 no longer counted, and it went back down about 3 months later to 650,000. Then at Warlords of Draenor launch, 574. Heaven's Ward launch, 824,000. Then he changed the formula again and made it so characters without a mount no longer counted. And then just before WoW Legion launched, they also made it so that characters under level 36 no longer counted. And it was right when WoW Legion launched, about 500,000. So he keeps excluding more and more groups of people, which of course with new players isn't always, again, indicative. It's always skewed. Because I don't know about you, but I see players under level 36 all the fucking time. So plenty of little sproutlings. So it's just interesting to see how it's trended and how he keeps adjusting his formulas based on him just trying to... He doesn't want it to seem so good. He wants to take away a demographic so that you can get an idea of the people who have played the game past a certain point.
Yeah.
It's a good way to do it. It's definitely a good way to get a more realistic number of how many people are really playing the game.
The core.
Nice. Yeah, the core group of players. Sucks that he has to skew it like this every so often.
Well, because if he doesn't, then the number just keeps looking better is the problem.
True.
And it doesn't and it starts catching things like bots and whatnot. Like this is to try and do things like bots don't ever get mounts, for example, because they just teleport hack everywhere.
Yeah, there's no one specific formula that can apply from here on in or like retroactively. Yeah.
And he's going to probably continue to adjust it. When Stormblood comes out, he probably goes up to a higher level. For example, like maybe under 45 doesn't count anymore, for example. Right. One of the big things that people are paying attention to, though, other than the active characters, is the number of creator savage clears.
Big one.
Now, this is the big one because a lot of people, when we saw Lucky Bonchos for both Gordius and for Midas, those numbers were not very high. I don't even remember what they were. They're here somewhere. Like if you look through Lucky Boncho's like posts, you'll find what the older numbers were. It is a substantial difference between what was cleared then and what's cleared now. So Atoll Savage, officially 19,725 people had cleared it. That was a number that was given to us by the developers, by Yoshida. According to Lucky Bonchos, there's around 40,000 creator savage clears now. About 4 months later. This is in line approximately with the final coil clear rates, which was generally regarded to be one of the more widely accepted raid tiers. Do you think that number going up gives them any sort of data that they can realistically use other than, hey, this raid difficulty is okay? Because if let's just even say that's 10% of the community. Like let's just say it's 400,000 active subscribers, whatever, and 10% of them, and obviously that there's people with alts and shit, but just for the sake of simplicity, that there's 10% of your community can out clear this content. Does that information mean anything other than the raids are in an okay spot to them? Do you think that there's any other data they could pull from that?
Merri, I'll let you go first.
I mean, I feel like it is a good launching point for like designing and developing alternative difficulty tiers, because it's like, okay, so if 10% can clear, this moderately, somewhat difficult content, increasing it by X amount in terms of like how difficult it is, 5% might be able to clear this super savage, and 1% this super extreme what the fuck savage.
I can't wait for super extreme what the fuck mode to launch. I'm really excited for that one.
Please look forward to it. But I mean, I feel like they can definitely pull from it to gauge, how, if they have like a target, like if they have a target of how difficult they want something to be and how many people they think they should be able to clear it, they can kind of, adjust based off these numbers.
Sly, how do you feel about the numbers?
I feel like the numbers are, in terms of going into future design of battles, half of what they could look into. The other half is a little bit more subjective, I believe. This is why we kind of need, a battle tester team, I guess.
They have a battle tester team. It's such a small number of people that it doesn't cover like the many ways we'll think of ways to do things. Yeah.
Like besides just the number of people who've cleared this content, yeah, we cleared it. That's fine. It was easy to some, difficult to others. Like other factors that play into the design, was it actually fun? Were they fun fights? I'd say so. Other people would probably disagree, but I'd say so. The numbers are half the battle. There's a lot more that could go into it besides clear rates themselves. I just want to see a good fight. I just want to see good fights. That's just me.
So I'm gonna throw out another idea, something we don't actually have information on, but we could kind of gleam into how this could affect their bounce. So A9 and A10 Savage undoubtedly have higher clear rates than the creators. And by the way, this 40,000 number is just the number of people who have the mount. So groups that have cleared it in less than 8 weeks, some of their members are not counted on this list. Also worth mentioning. But A9 and A10 Savage, based on this being 40,000, I have no doubt that number is in the 6 digits at this point for A9 Savage, at the very least, maybe not for A10 Savage. That becomes a much more substantial number. That becomes 20 to 25% of your community that is capable of tackling content that is at the level of the first half of your raid tier. Do you think that gives them any sort of incentive to potentially raise the difficulty level of other pieces of content, or to incorporate more content around that difficulty level? Because now we're not talking about the top 1%. We're not talking about the top 5%. We're talking about 1/4 of your player base, which you've created content for groups smaller than that in the past. Let's be honest.
Oh, yeah.
Do you think that's any sort of incentive for them to look at that and go, maybe we can have more content that's around this level?
Absolutely.
That's it. Nothing. No other input.
Yeah, I mean, that's about all that I feel needs to be said. Yeah, I mean, if a 1/4 of your player base is clearing content, and I mean, having done A9, obviously, I mean, it's not super difficult.
Oh,
but it's
beat
also
A9
not...
Savage?
Yeah, wow, wowee. It's not a hard fight, but it's also not, so mind-numbingly easy, especially if you're going with like random people. Have
fun with Faust.
It's a good, it's a good difficulty tier for casuals, and so expanding on that, yeah, that's good. Because the thing is too, like a 1/4 of your player base, that's big considering a large sum of people just don't raid. Period. So
yeah. I wonder what number of people raid. I don't know. Maybe the number of people who fucking cleared A9 Savage. that might be a decent number to start at.
Yeah, around there.
Yeah, around there. Those were just to be clear. That's about almost a 50% increase up from November. Just to put it into perspective. Just looking at this person who said 48.42%. Thank you for doing the whole division thing. Oh, by the way, the first of the three twins is here.
Yeah. Hi, first twin. I'm second twin.
Frosty's third twin.
Third twin.
No, Ethis. He's your third twin.
Third twin.
Say it one more time, just to make sure.
Third twin.
There you go.
Three twin.
I mean, all of you live in the United States now, so it's feasible.
Third twin.
I gotta go visit Ethis. Just gotta take a 2-hour train ride up there and be like, "What's up, bitch?" High five.
Take a
just want to do it.
10-hour plane ride.
Ethis, Frosty graduated to being the third twin of the group. Just this show. Yeah, he became the third twin.
Third twin.
In this show.
Third twin.
Hashtag 3 twins.
Hashtag 3 twins.
When do we get the Frosty Ethis Merri fanfic, by the way?
Get on it, writers.
Writers?
You got your work cut out.
Not like
for
we
you.
have a pool of writers.
I'm sure we do.
Okay.
3 twins, 1 game. Oh, snap, welcome, Frosty. He's not going to say anything. Even if he's realizing it, he's not saying anything. You son of a bitch. All right. That's fine. Anyway, those are some of the most major points we covered over this last week, and that is going to be a wrap for this show. Now that Ethis is here, I would like to propose the question that next week I don't think we'll have 3.56 until the 28th, which, just to recap, is the same day as episode Gladio, the same day as Final Fantasy 15's Chapter 13 update, the same day as Kingdom Hearts 1.5, 2.5, the same day as Dark Souls 3, the Ringed City DLC, and I feel like there's one other thing I'm missing.
The day before my birthday.
There you go.
Oh,
day before
boy.
your birthday, and it's a week before Persona 5. It's also only 1 week after Mass Effect Andromeda, so we're kind of fucked.
It's our anniversary.
And it's your partner. Look at this. Look at all the things happening on March 28th.
Yeah.
So we already know what the and that's if it even is on March 28th. For all we know, we're going to get fucked. It's going to be on April 4th. Sly.
Good luck with that show.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying we may.
Yeah, he gives that date. Like he's not that. He's not going to do that. He knows. Some of the devs play Persona. He knows. Just.
What do you think? Because they play that, just because that means they don't have a job?
Are they going to release a patch on the same day as 15?
Yeah, they don't care. They've done it before. They've released shit awkwardly close to one another in the past. They're not planning. Okay. They're not thinking this shit through.
Okay.
Let's be real here. They're not thinking this shit through. They're just doing it. They're like, we're ready, so we're doing it. I know what you guys do, but we're doing it. All right. So next week, I'd like to have Merri on again, if you'll join us. I'd
Sure.
like to have Ethis on, and I want us to take both the lore book and the world map and talk about some locations.
Yeah.
And if any other news pops up in the week, we'll bring that up too. Ethis has to agree. If not, well, Merri already has. So we have one of the 3 twins.
I'm down.
We have one of the
third twin.
We might. I don't know. The third twin might. I don't know. I feel like we might get a little bit too crazy if we have 3 twins.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know if we can handle
3 twins is 1 twin too many.
All too literally. All too literally.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's on next week. Fuck it. This is on next week. There you go. All right. Anyway, on that note, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to wrap up this show for the week. Thank you for joining us this week, Merri, on such short notice.
Yeah, of course.
You just came to my stream yesterday, and I was like, hey, and you were like, yeah. And I was like, okay,
Yeah.
let's do it.
I told you anytime, man. You could be like, you could come into my stream while I'm streaming, be like, hey, do you want to be on stage of the realm in an hour? I'll be like, all right.
Is this how we're signing guests now, Mike? They're just coming into the stream. You want to be on the show? Sure. Okay.
Yeah, what better way to do it, really?
Okay.
What better way than to put them under the pressure of several hundred other individuals? So if they say no, they'll feel nothing but disappoint.
Yeah.
Not disappointment. Disappoint. They'll feel disappoint. God damn it. All right.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Anyway, on that note, we're going to wrap the show. Merri, why don't you tell everyone where they can find you at, my good sir?
You can find me at twitch.tv/very_Merri. And
is that how you spell? Is that how it
yes,
underscore
two
sounds?
clown horns. Two clown horns. Also on YouTube, Very Merri as well. And Twitter, Very_Merri.
So fun. It's wow. I would have never guessed.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking horn. All right. Oh God, Sly, you've been taken over. I don't know how, but Merri's taken over. Merri, you are Sly. You're now Merri. Merri, you're now Sly. This wasn't this way before the show, so I'm just gonna say that it broke.
Neat.
Well, I mean, Merri, where can they find Sly?
You can find Sly at Very_. No.
And now Sly is on the screen.
Okay.
And it was zoomed in, too. That was the worst part.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. You can find me on twitch.tv/Slyakagreyfox. You can find me on Instagram at Slyakagreyfox07. You can find me on Twitter at Slythefox. You can find me on the YubTubs at The Velvet Room, / The Velvet Room. You can find me on Plot 14 Ward 5 of Behemoth.
No, they can't. You're playing Persona.
Late. Just very late, though. Yeah, you can find me on Behemoth, like, really fucking late. Really late. But yeah. I'm playing Persona right now. I'm on Persona 2 Eternal Punishment. We are still doing the countdown to the heist. Slow and getting there. Less than 3 weeks away from Persona 5. So, yeah. Apparently my new name is Persona 5 Santa Claus for some reason.
For some reason. Some unknown to you reason. That's all.
You got to get a Santa hat for your Persona stream.
You want to know what's funny, Sly? Because you were Merri for like a minute there, now you're the fourth twin.
This is
good to have you, bud.
Thanks, man. Good
to have you. You may have been adopted, but you're the fourth twin.
That makes me feel so much fucking.
You're the adopted fourth twin.
Here, I'll make you feel better.
Why don't my brothers look like me? Yeah, thank you.
Mom, why do none of my brothers look
like me? Yeah. Well, hey, we all have beards. So that's one thing.
Oh my god. Yeah, that's all you really need to be related.
Yeah, beards.
All right. And I am your other host who doesn't actually use that background because it's way too fucking hot in here to actually use the green screen and turn on the box lights. Michael, Mr. Happy Poveromo, of course. Mr. Happy127, Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. You could still technically find me there, although the name is slightly different. Slightly different. It's different slightly. Slightly like the Diadem is slightly better. That's the best way you can think to put it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to wrap up this. And now this one's fucked up. Look, I don't know what it was perfectly fine the whole show. You saw it. All right. You saw that it was perfectly fine the whole goddamn show. And now it's not. I've got nothing. I can't explain it by any stretch of the imagination.
I look beautiful.
You do look beautiful.
Wow.
I can only think of one reasonable explanation for this, and it's that OBS Studio, despite me never using global sources, is now using your cameras as global sources, and I changed Sly's global source to Merri. That is now the official diagnosis of what happened. Because you could see it was fucking fine the whole show, and now it's all gone to shit. I'm just saying. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, Merri's dead, and Sly is Merri, or Merri is Sly. Sly is dead.
It doesn't matter. We're brothers.
And now he's there. What the fuck? It's changing.
See you next week, everybody.
See you next week, guys. Fuck this. I'm out. Peace.
Bye.
Pie. We're just happy Pie Day. Goodbye.